So while everyone's eyes are glued to the spectacle of AI training, something else is happening, kind of under the radar. There's a new battle for AI dominance brewing, and honestly, the reigning champion might not even see it coming. And look, this isn't just some small trend. It's a massive shift. We are literally watching the end of one era and the beginning of another. For years, the whole story of AI has been about building the models. But now, the era of actually using them is here, and it's already twice as big. The real work, the AI that's going to touch our everyday lives, is happening right now, at a scale we've just never seen. Okay, let's break this down, because this part is really key. Think of training as the massive, crazy expensive job of building the entire Library of Alexandria from scratch. Inference, on the other hand, is the endless line of people showing up 24/7 to ask that library questions. And it's right there, in that new world of constant questions and answers, that the future of AI is going to be decided. Okay, but here's where things start to get really interesting. As the main job shifts from training to inference, the whole way we use AI is changing. We're moving beyond asking just one single giant AI a question. Now we're putting together whole teams of specialized AIs to work on complex problems together. This is the new frontier. So what do we call this new way of doing things, this AI teamwork? It's called an agent mesh. And believe me, it is about to change everything you thought you knew about how AI gets work done. So picture this. It's like an elite team of AI specialists, and each one is a master of their own specific craft. You've got the researcher who goes out and gathers all the intel. Then the fact checker comes in and makes sure every detail is spot on. The auditor checks it for compliance, and then finally the summarizer puts together the final masterpiece. They work together, passing the job from one to the next almost instantly. And this isn't some sci-fi dream. This is what's happening in high-stakes enterprise AI right now. But of course, there's a problem. And it's a big one. The very hardware that powered this whole AI revolution, the mighty GPU that NVIDIA built its entire empire on, it has a fatal flaw. It was built to be a lone wolf in a world that now needs a wolf pack. You know, think of a GPU like a world-class sprinter. It's built for one thing, an incredible, explosive burst of speed down a single lane. It's amazing at that one job. But an agent mesh? That's a relay race. It needs dozens of runners, perfectly smooth handoffs, and constant coordination. You wouldn't ask one sprinter to run an entire relay race by themselves, right? Well, you shouldn't ask a GPU to run an agent mesh. All right, let's dig into the nitty-gritty of why this is a problem. A top-of-the-line GPU, like an H100, can only really handle about 8 agents at the same time before it just starts to bog down. The handoff between those agents, it's painfully slow. We're talking up to 200 milliseconds. That's like sending a letter by carrier pigeon in the age of instant messaging. And on top of all that, it's super wasteful. Each agent basically rereads the original document from scratch, reinventing the wheel every single time. And I mean, just look at these numbers. They speak for themselves. To run a big 256 agent mesh, you need a cluster of 32 GPUs that costs nearly $1 million and pulls enough power to run a small neighborhood. Or you could just use one single purpose-built chip that costs less than a cheap used car. This isn't just a small improvement. It's a totally different economic reality. It's a game changer. So this massive inefficiency, it leaves the door wide open for a disruptor. You know, in the land of giants, a new David has shown up. A small, agile startup called CortexPod has basically forged a new kind of weapon that could seriously challenge the Goliath of the chip world. And it all starts with one really bold idea. See, CortexPod didn't try to play NVIDIA's game, they changed the rules. They built a totally custom chip in ASIC. That stands for Application-Specific Integrated Circuit. It's basically like a tailor-made suit just for agent meshes. It's not a jack-of-all-trades like a GPU. It is a master of one thing, and it gives up some of that general flexibility to get absolutely mind-blowing performance on this one super important job. So what does that actually get you? Well, first up, scale. While a high-end GPU taps out at maybe 8 agents, the Cortex chip can handle a whopping 256 of them at the same time. That's a 32 times increase in capacity, all on one little piece of silicon. Next, let's talk speed. Remember that ridiculously slow 200 millisecond handoff? The Cortex chip cuts that down to under 2 milliseconds. That's 100 times faster. It's the difference between waiting for a web page to load and a thought just popping into your head. It's communication at the speed of hardware. And finally, efficiency. The Cortex chip gets rid of 75% of all that wasted work by using a shared memory system. It's like having a team that is always automatically on the same page. They all have the same notes right in front of them without ever having to say a thing. The chip just knows. But, the tech is only half the story. The real genius here is the strategy. This is a masterclass in how to disrupt an industry. It's not just about building a better mousetrap. It's about completely rewriting the rules of the game and turning what looks like a weakness into a huge strength. Okay, so in a world where everyone's obsessed with the newest, shiniest thing, CortexPod did something completely different. They weren't old school. Instead of chasing the absolute cutting edge, they built their chip on a proven, reliable 12-nanometer process. Now, why would they do that? Well, because it's 10 times cheaper. It gets them to market a full year faster, and, this is so important, it frees them from being stuck in the supply chain of a single company. It was a brilliant, totally counterintuitive move that gave them a massive edge. And their next move? Just as smart. They didn't even bother with Silicon Valley at first. They went straight to where the action is, Asia. And what they found was a market that was just perfect for them, a perfect storm, really. US export controls were creating huge gaps in the supply of NVIDIA chips. You had an explosion of new startups that just couldn't afford million-dollar GPU clusters. And you had new data laws popping up that required local processing. They found a market that was absolutely starving for exactly what they were selling. So, look, this whole CortexPod story, it's more than just about one cool startup. It's really a signal of a whole new era in computing. It's a peek into a future where the very foundation of our digital world is about to be completely redesigned. For the longest time, we've had these general-purpose, one-size-fits-all chips running our lives. But that's all changing. We're about to see what's being called a Cambrian explosion of silicon, a new age where every single important task, from designing new medicines to making our cars drive themselves, is going to have its own custom-designed brain. And this quote from CortexPod, man, it just nails it. The future of AI isn't about building one single all-knowing oracle. No, it's about creating a symphony of specialized minds, a whole distributed network of intelligence that is way more powerful, more resilient, and more efficient than any one part could ever be. We've really only just scratched the surface here. As we start moving into this new world of specialized silicon, the question isn't just about what new things we can do. It's about what new things we're going to become. What new problems can we solve when every great challenge we face has its own custom-built genius designed specifically to tackle it? The future is wide open. The possibilities are, well, pretty much limitless.